we have this thing. It is the Elegoo Saturn 16K Ultra, and it's a resin printer. Now, the way a resin printer works is right here. There's an LCD screen. It's black and white, and it can turn a pixel black. Then underneath that, there's a UV light that shines through the LCD screen, and of course, wherever it's black, the light can't shine through. Wherever it's white, it shines through and it cures the resin. It's essentially how they work. And I was pondering what else we might do with it when my brother reminded me of Herschel. So John Herschel was basically an astronomer. He's born in 1792, died in 1871, and he was a member of the Royal Astronomical Society and became president 3 times. But he wasn't only interested in staring at stars in the sky, he got involved in all kinds of things, including mathematics and chemistry. Now, at the time, photography, well, I suppose you could say it had 2 main problems. 1, it took absolutely ages to take a photograph, and 2, once you'd taken the photograph, it wasn't particularly fast in light. It would fade, and so some kind of development process and fixing process was needed. And there were 2 main types of system that came out of it. The first one was the daguerreotype, invented by Daguerre. The problem with that is it used mercury vapour and iodine vapour, but it worked, and it was given by France as a gift to the world. The second type is perhaps the one that we all know, being Fox-Talbot. Fox-Talbot used silver nitrate, and it's the basis for the bulk of modern photography. But in 1842, Herschel developed his own system called the cyanotype, and we know it as blueprints. It's still used today. Cyanotypes are particularly popular and really quite easy to make. What you need is this stuff, which is potassium ferrocyanide, and this stuff, which is ferric ammonium citrate. Now, I happen to have the pure chemicals, but you can buy this as a kit. What you get is a bottle A and B, and you add water to it, and it has exactly the right amount of powder in, and that powder has these 2 chemicals. So you can either buy a kit that you add water to, indeed you can buy the papers pre-prepared if you want, so you don't have to do any of this, or if you happen to have the chemicals and want to do it this way, then that's the same difference really. The other thing you need is 2 bottles, and I've labelled these A and B, just like you do with the kit, and some of this stuff which is deionised water, which you can buy in the local supermarket for filling up irons. And what we do is we take 10 grams of this stuff and add it to the bottle we've marked up, and 25 grams of this stuff and add it to the second bottle, give it a little shake and leave it around for a day so it dissolves properly. Now, I'm working in a very bright room because I need to film it. What you should do is do it in a darkened room. Not dark, just darkened so there isn't quite as much sunlight coming through. And you're going to need some of this stuff, which is watercolour paper. So at about 240, 300 GSM, something like that. And of course, cut it down to size so that it will fit on the printer. This is A5. You take half of type A, you don't need a huge amount, and half of type B, so it's a 50-50 mix of the bottles A and B that we made up. And it will go like that. Now that is a huge amount, but I'm only really doing it for demonstration. You use very little of this stuff. There's probably enough in there to do, I don't know, 50 cyanotypes. It uses very little. You take your paper, get a bit on your brush and brush it on, working into the paper. And all you're wanting to do is cover the paper. You're not wanting to soak it. Once you've got a nice coverage on it, then dry it with a hairdryer. So having done that, we need to find ourselves a nice image. By the way, to dispose of this stuff, all you do is leave it in the sun for about half an hour or so, and it will turn into a harmless iron salt, and we can just wash it away. Absolute ton of places to get images from. One of my favourite places is Pixabay, actually, because they're royalty-free images, and they've got a huge selection of things that you can choose whatever it is you like. Now, I'm looking for something sort of woodcut-like, because I basically want it to be a bit arty. So just scroll down until you find an image that you think is awesome, and I quite like that one, so we're going to use that one. Click on it, and you'll be able to download it. Now, you have to remember, everything that's blocked is going to end up white, and everything that you can see through is going to end up black. So if you want to invert it, so you've got a kind of photographic negative, you're going to have to invert it. So here, brought it into Paint, and Paint, although it's a really simple program, is absolutely everywhere and easy to use. So first thing, selection here, click on it, select all, go to your image, you've got a crossbar, and then you right click on it and you can see invert color, click on invert color and it'll turn the black to white. Now if we go to here, the layers, and it's hidden and revealed by that, so we've got layers and we have a hidden background layer. We can change that background layer to black and then unhide it if it's hidden and you'll get a negative. Now we can export that. Now we really need this in an STL format. I exported it from Paint in JPEG and I'm going to import it into this online converter as an STL file. So click to upload your file. So once it's uploaded, we can use some of these tools to change it so the detail can be high. We can set the heights and widths of the thing. You notice I've set the depth at 10 and then we just click convert to STL. Now that STL file can be brought straight into Chatterbox, and there it is. Now I've changed the height of this to 1 centimeter, but the real trick are the slice settings. If we click on slice settings and we're in machine, we need to go on to resin. If we scroll down on there, you'll notice the exposure times. That bottom exposure time I've changed to 900 seconds, or if you like, 15 minutes. So it's going to expose it for 15 minutes. Now, if you play around with these, you can obviously change the amount of exposure time you give it. If your print isn't working or you don't think there's enough coming through, then that can be changed. And of course, we can rename this Cyanotypes so that we can always do this. And then we just apply those settings and slice. Okay, we've got our cyanotype paper that we made and we've got our image. Now, to make this work, we need access to the UV. So take off the print tank, pop your paper in the middle of the screen, and I cut the paper to be 210 by 120 because that's the size that fits really easily in the screen, and then put this back on. The layer, the transparent layer underneath, will act as a kind of spring to hold the paper down. Screw it down, close the lid, pop your image on, and press print. Now it will detect that there's no resin in the tank and stop it as a printing error, but you can make it continue just by pressing mandatory printing. And it'll just continue as if there were resin in there. When you think it's had enough or it's printed the bottom layer to what you wanted, press stop and it will stop the print. When the print is stopped, just press confirm. And of course, one of the great things about the Saturn IV is it's got auto bed sensing, so we don't need to worry about altering the Z-axis for the thickness of paper that we put on the screen. Okay, let's take it out. To develop this bad boy, wash it in the sink. Now, I may be being a bit vicious with this. I have seen people using shower heads, but I'm just going to turn the tap on. And if by magic, the image will appear. So that worked really well, hey? It's got kind of a woodcut look to it, which I really liked. And as far as the cyanotype is concerned, all we do is leave that to dry under some wet so it'll dry flat, and it will darken as it gets drier. It's a little bit light at the moment, but it'll go a darker blue as it actually dries. But I would say that was an unqualified success. Now, I don't think that's really the end of it. There's actually something else we can do with this, because that problem it's got, I mean, it's not a serious problem of fading in the light, can be fixed, and it can be fixed with tea. Now this is a solution of iron sulfate. It's fertilizer actually. You can buy it in the garden store, and this is a cup of tea. Now watch what happens when I add the tea to the fertilizer. It goes black. So this was known about in the medieval period. It's how they used to make inks. They mixed tannin with an iron salt and they got their ink. Here's a bowl with some tea in it. Take your cyanotype and stick it in the tea. And then just leave it for a bit. And after half an hour or so in the tea, this is what you get. The iron salts in the cyanotype process have been turned into these insoluble iron salts, which are jet black and permanent. Now, it may be a bit weird to use 3D printing equipment to print 2D images, but I thought the whole process was actually relatively easy and quite a lot of fun to do, and does extend the use of those 3D printers, the resin printers, to do something perhaps you might not have thought of. Now, to dry this, you dry it flat, You pop some weights on it so it dries flat, and I will probably be framing this because I'm honestly quite proud of it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it gave you some ideas to play with. Thank you very much for watching, and please do remember to like and subscribe.